What's going on out there, YouTube family? It's the Symone Bravo here representing Team JVS, here to give you guys a brand new movie review. Now, when you guys see this review, this will be much later in February sometime, but I had the opportunity of being able to check it out, which was January the 8th of 2021. I'm talking about Cherry. Now, this was based on the book, the same name, by Nico Walker. This was directed by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo. One of the Russo brothers actually makes an appearance in the movie, but this is starring Tom Holland, Ciara Bravo. Last thing I saw her in was Wayne. Very amazing performance as well in that show. And then you've got Jack Rayner, you've got Jeff Goldberg, and a few other names, but pretty much this is an open-ended cast. The thing about when I watched Cherry, I had no preconceived notions about it. When I literally saw it, I hadn't even seen a trailer yet. And that's like, this is the second movie I've done this with this year. The other movie I did this with was The Little Things with Denzel Washington. This film, basically the premise is you have this man named Cherry, and Cherry basically, you know, it takes place, right, starts out around 2002 and it goes all the way to present day. But when you start, it's like he's in college, just a normal guy. He's a little bit of a loner. Not, you know, he's not the type of person to put himself in a situation or to kind of stand up for himself. He kind of is like being used most of the time. He gets his eye on this one girl he sees in college, but at the time he's in a relationship. You know, fast forward to a lot of life that hits this man and maybe a few different bad choices between him and Ciara Bravo's character that basically pitfalls their life in the worst and most amazing type of ways possible. I don't want to give too much away. I feel like this movie, if you go into it not knowing anything, will hit you so much more harder, but I don't want you to get whiplash. I will let you know that this is a hard-hitting film. In terms of drug usage, in terms of language, in terms of dangerous stakes, in terms of gore, in terms of violence, like, it is throughout. Like, there are levels to this that get on the sadness and the depressive level of Requiem for a Dream. I will effectively state that, because some of the things that happens to both the main characters, Emily and Cherry, really does go heavily down the same paths that Requiem for a Dream did, which is hopelessness, which is depression, which is drug usage, which is like the losing of one's soul, essentially. And it was kind of like, the thing about this film, and I guess even the way it's written, it's kind of like it doesn't sugarcoat one way or another. There are different moments in time where it's like, oh man, this person could do this, or this character could do that, and it would get them out of the situation. But no matter what, it is a spiral that even if there is a resolution here, there, or whatever in the past, it didn't matter. It was inevitability, unfortunately. And I love the way that that was actually written, because it wasn't like, oh, well, that could have been an option, that could have happened, but no, it didn't. You know, it was there, but it still didn't stick. It still didn't take. In every moment that there was an opportunity for both of these characters to get out of it, they got in each other's way. And it was bone crushing, to be quite honest with you. I love the cinematography of this. I think the visual cues, the imagery, some of the shots from the war sequences are actually really well done, really well shot. I think the close-up, panned-up imagery of certain character moments, whether it be like a downward spiral moment, whether it be a moment of fear, or whether it be a moment of anger, and then also like the way that they shot him breaking the fourth wall with certain things where he's talking right at the audience. I think that was actually really interesting, because it brought me back to some of those movies back in the early 2000s and in the late 1990s that I really personally loved. But in terms of this and the way it was actually directed, I think it was actually directed very well, because the movie could technically feel like sluggish. I think it could end up, you know, for some people it might end up coming up like really poorly paced, but for me it did not. Even with the progression of like part 1, part 2, part 3, like it didn't feel like it was an intermission. It felt like it was a progression. I felt like I'm glad that I had those smaller intermissions to breathe, because certain things get so amped and revolved that I was like, I was trying to hold on for dear life, essentially. Score was actually really good. I actually really appreciated the score and the way that they actually utilized it, even up until the end, where the third act is a very emotional, sad roller coaster. That's the best way I can kind of put it. Now we got to go to the strongest points of this film, which is the acting of Tom Holland and Ciara Bravo. Like, they not only do they have amazing chemistry, they felt like young college kids really truly going through this. It was like, it was captivating, it was eye-catching, and at the same time, like, the thing I'll say about Tom is that a lot of this film is really right off of his back. Some of the moments in the very first few acts of this film, you know, are the most subtlest. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, he seems like a normal guy going through certain things in certain situations. You can see yourself, that could have easily happened to you, or maybe did happen to you, but the outcome and the reasoning and the situation, especially going to the second act, especially going towards the war aspect of things, is where you start to watch him merge and mold into this character who actually is in real life an actual person that did go through this. And he is mesmerizing. He's riveting. I think that this is easily his best performance he's ever done. And it's crazy because the Netflix film that he was in 2020, I was kind of like, that's what I was kind of looking to see. That's where it was going to happen. But a big part of that film, it was a whole bunch of other actors, you know, a whole bunch of other circumstances. It wasn't pivoted straight to him, even though he was the main character. It didn't pivot to him. This literally continged upon his ability to go back and forth from a character that is progressing through time and going through hell and back, and sometimes never coming back in certain circumstances of who he ends up being. And as far as Ciara Bravo's character, like, she was just started off the most sweetest thing ever, but then she makes some terrible choices, and those choices, you know, us as audience looking like, dang, why did they do this? Why did she do this? You know, and I think that her performance works perfectly because there are some intensely emotional scenes with both of them, and sometimes alone, sometimes with each other, but it is rough and is amazing to watch. Like, they really do carry so much weight in this that is, to me, unprecedented on certain levels. I was just really impressed. I don't even know how to really articulate it any better than that. These were two of the best dual or couple-based performances that I've seen all year. Now, I know that Malcolm and Marie is coming up with Zendaya and with John David Washington, which kind of floats around the same bubble, a little bit more condensed. But there are things in this that the levels they had to reach that it's very vastly different. And I haven't seen that movie yet, but dare I say that they had a lot that they had to go through as actors and as characters that I have nothing but the most admiration and, you know, recommendation for people to see. Even more so than the actual movie. The movie in and of itself, in terms of the story, is really good. It's actually hard to watch. Like, it is very hard to watch. Not just from a pacing standpoint. Like, there are things that just like, dang, this is rough. This is not a date movie at all. And so just know and be cognizant of that. But I think that by the end of the film, specifically towards the end, I did not see the end of the film me coming out like, wow, this was amazing. Because I just was like, it was hitting me so hard in the face and in the heart that I was like, I can't take much more of this. I really couldn't. But I think that it's definitely worth seeing. Definitely one of the better films I've seen in 2021 so far. I would rest this at an 8.5, 9 out of 10. Definitely one of the better ones, and hopefully not the last. Definitely go and check out Cherry. It will be releasing in theaters in February, I think February 27th, and then it will be on Apple TV Plus in like March 25th, I believe. Talk to you guys later. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.